Now, before I introduce Katie, do you want to say anything about our upcoming conference? And then Katie, or?
Yeah, sure. So, namaste. My name is Aparna Bapat, and I would love to invite all of you, and please forward the same message to all your friends and all your contacts on your social media and mailing lists. We have a wonderful conference that we have organized on 4th, 5th, and 6th November of 2022. We are hosting that near Orlando in Warren Willis Conference and Retreat Center in Fruitland Park. This is an in-person conference, so we would love to have you all there, stay at the venue, and enjoy the full 3 days. The registration link and all the information about the speakers and the topics is on our website. And we can also individually send you the emails, which you can forward and distribute to all your contacts. So this is really going to be an exciting time to get everybody together, and wonderful speakers and wonderful topics, and we can just, have this Ayurveda take to the higher level where we can, share the knowledge. And something that Katie is bringing today is really going to be very, very important, very different, I would say. We always talk about the basic principles and, the science of Ayurveda, but this is something very, very practical, especially for students and practitioners after graduation. They really need to know how to, take this practical aspect and really venture into the real world of turning it into a business. From that aspect, I think your talk is going to be very enlightening. So,
Agreed.
Thank you for this opportunity for us to listen to you. And Kitty, you can introduce her now.
Well, so I almost want a drum roll for Katie. She's been a wonderful speaker for us in our conferences in the past, and she's a nationally certified Ayurvedic practitioner, a certified Dharma coach, massage therapist, esthetician, and yoga teacher. And she's calls New Smyrna Beach her home for 8 months of the year, where she's the spa director and lead therapist at Abundant Health Day Spa. The other 4 months of the year, she lives on Block Island, Rhode Island, where she owns and operates a mobile spa business. She also operates a virtual wellness space called Align Studio, where she offers online yoga classes, Ayurvedic consultations, and Dharma coaching sessions. Katie is a master of everything, but she loves to travel, read, hike in nature, spend time at the beach, and she's always learning. And this is interesting, I didn't know about Katie. She's currently taking a course on human design and looks forward to integrating this new knowledge into her offerings in the fall. So without further ado, drum roll, here's Katie.
Thank you so much, Kiffy, for that beautiful introduction. And thank you for all that are here. I'm really honored to be here. And thank you to the Ayurveda Association of Florida for asking me to do this talk this evening on Dharma and business. So like Kiffy said, I spend 4 months out of my year on Block Island, Rhode Island. It's a small island about 12 miles off the coast of Rhode Island. I've been coming here since I was a child. I met my husband out here 15 years ago, and he's also been coming here as a child. So it's a very special and sacred place to both of us, and we feel so grateful that we get to be here. The island is full of beauty and treasures, but one thing it doesn't have is great Wi-Fi. So I'm hoping that all goes well tonight. I'm actually in a local shop right now that my mom works in. So you can see there's little gift things behind me because the library that offers free Wi-Fi closes at 5 o'clock. And they border some place that has live music in the evening. So I'm not able to sit outside there. So this will work. But just so you know, that's, we make do with what we're given. So So yeah, I'm so happy to be here. I just recently completed a Dharma coaching training, and there were two kind of aspects of my personal and professional life that really kind of drew me into doing Dharma coaching training. The first one was I have been a massage therapist and esthetician for about 15 years, and I love that aspect of my work. And when I do that type of work, it doesn't even feel like work. I get compliments on my services, and that's the first thing I say. Thank you so much. I'm just so grateful, because this doesn't even feel like work to me. I just love doing it. And I recently had the thought, what if everyone felt that way about what they're doing? Like, what if everyone in the world felt like their work wasn't work and it was just a calling or a devotion, or that they were following their Dharma? I really think we would probably have world peace if everyone was really following that. So that was an instigator in me kind of going down the path of Dharma coaching. And then the second thing that drew me in was really my Ayurvedic clients. Over the past 6 or 7 years that I've been sitting with clients offering Ayurvedic consultations, I was seeing a very common theme among the people who were finding me. A lot of them were women, and a lot of them doshically actually were pretty balanced. They had already integrated a lot of the aspects of Ayurveda into their life, not knowing that it was Ayurveda. A lot of them already had kind of a basic knowledge of Ayurveda. They weren't necessarily just novice, but they were all seeking something more, something almost intangible, or something a little bit more esoteric that wasn't necessarily showing up on like my doshic questionnaires. And I finally realized that that was purpose, that they were all at a point in their lives where, maybe they were done raising their children, or they were well into a career that should make them happy, but something was missing. And I really feel, looking back on the majority of my clients that were attracted to me, it was that they were missing their Dharma, or their true soul's purpose. At one point, I actually thought about going in and becoming a mental health counselor, because I felt like I wanted to talk to my clients on a deeper level, and outside of the realm of what I could do as an Ayurvedic practitioner. But then I saw an email about a year ago from the Dharma Coaching Institute, and it was like an instant yes. It was like, no, this is the missing piece for me that I need to learn about in order to give it to my clients. So here I am. I'm also really passionate about sharing this information with Ayurvedic wellness and spiritual professionals and entrepreneurs. Because what I have found, as Kivi said, I've had a lot of trainings. And of those trainings, of the 4 or 5, big trainings that I've done in my life to get licensure certification in areas, the majority of people that I've gone to school with have never done the thing that we've been trained in professionally. Like, they've never been able to create enough abundance in their life in order to really take that thing, whatever it was, whether it was yoga teacher training, massage training, Ayurvedic training, and really translate that into a business or into a career. And so I'm really passionate, because I think clarifying your Dharma can be a really key point in helping you kind of get past maybe some of those blocks, and really being able to take what you're passionate about out into the world. I also love to have conversations with spiritual entrepreneurs and Ayurvedic entrepreneurs about the energetics of business. We talk a lot about strategy, right? Like social media and website and SEO and all these things that I don't even know all the terms. And those are all wonderful, and they're all really important parts of business. But I think there needs to be more of a conversation around the energetics behind all of that. And if the energy isn't right, the message is never really going to get through. And once again, I think if we really know what our soul's purpose is, if we can really clarify that, it just gives us information to really create positive and potent and simple messaging to potential clients. And the other thing is, I have been around so many amazing people in all of these trainings that I've done, and they have so many gifts. And the world now more than ever needs us, and they need us to share our gifts. They need us to serve them in the knowledge that we have. I feel like we all have a sacred responsibility to put it out there, whether it's Ayurveda, Ayurveda or astrology or energy healing or massage. It's time for us to kind of step forward and do that. And I think, once again, Dharma can be a key. It's not the only aspect, but I think that it can really be a key in that. And I think that clarifying your Dharma helps you embody it. And I think embodied wisdom really attracts abundance naturally. So when we can really know what our Dharma is and really embody that, that translates without even having to speak. That's something that you walk into a room and you just know if someone's embodied in their Dharma or like in their, in their purpose in their life. And I love to use my beautiful teacher, Denise O'Dunn, as an example of that. She doesn't even have to say a word, and you know that she is just so in her flow and in her Dharma. So what is Dharma? Let's talk about that for a little bit. Dharma has a lot of translations in Sanskrit. For the purposes of this conversation, Dharma means life's purpose or your soul's purpose. So we kind of have a universal Dharma or a collective Dharma, which is to love and to give and to serve. But each of us has an individual Dharma that is going to express those things, but in a very unique and individual way. And that's kind of the eternal question, right? Like, why are we here? What is my purpose? And that is Dharma. Dharma can be a career, but it not necessarily. And there's very little talk in the scriptures of Dharma being a career. So it can be something that you do to attract abundance, but not necessarily. And an example of that is perhaps your Dharma is to be an advocate, to maybe do nonprofit work. There might not be enough abundance in that to be able to support yourself. And we all still have bills and mortgages and things that we have to pay. So there may be, a career that you do, but your Dharma is, advocating for those less fortunate or social rights and things like that. And just because you're good at something doesn't necessarily mean that it's your Dharma. And Krishna says in the Gita, it's better to do your own Dharma imperfectly than somebody else's Dharma perfectly. So that sometimes can be a gut check for people, because we have a lot of gifts, a lot of us do, but just because you're good at it doesn't necessarily mean that it's your Dharma. I have found Dharma to be more of a theme rather than a thing. So it's more of kind of a central theme in your life that the expression of it may evolve as you go along and as you learn. An example of that, this is just a made up example of that, but somebody who's maybe their Dharma theme is to provide peace to those around them. Like they just really want to be kind of an anchor of peace. Perhaps this person in high school and college was a lifeguard at the local pool, and they provided peace for the parents that were there and the swimmers, knowing that they were safe. And then maybe that person studied accounting in college and became an accountant and provided peace to their clients, knowing that their finances were in order and being taken care of. And then maybe in this person's Vata years of life, they got into organic farming, so much so that, and so plentiful that they were able to sell it at a local farmer's market. And they provided peace to the people who bought their vegetables, knowing that this food was grown in sustainable and organic and really loving ways. So you can see how one theme can take so many different shapes, not only in one individual life, but in all of our lives. And that's one thing that Ayurveda honors, is our unique doshic makeup. And our unique dosha makeup is what propels our Dharma, what supports our Dharma, and our Dharmas can be just as unique. The universe helps to reveal our Dharma to us through excitement and curiosity. So that's a good thing to remember. Like whatever you're excited about or whatever you're curious about, those are like little breadcrumbs that are kind of lead you to discovering your Dharma or rediscovering your Dharma. And your Dharma is not something you can Google. Only you know it, and only you can discover it. And that's part of the journey of us being here. And sometimes it's not even only a discovery, but it's a rediscovery. It's, remembering why we incarnated at this time. I feel like when we're truly embodying Dharma, there is a sense of ease to it. Of course, there's always aspects of business and in life that that we have to do that may not be the most joyful. But I think most of it, like 80% of it, should actually feel quite flowy and quite easy. I think in the day we're in, the social media kind of days and craze, and I don't think that's going anywhere. And not that that's a good or a bad thing, but I think sometimes, especially in the younger generations, they get caught up in they have to do something really big, like their impact has to be so big that they don't realize that perhaps your dharma is just to serve the people closest to you. Maybe it's just your family. Maybe it's just one other person. But that idea of dharma and then sharing it as, a pathway to service doesn't necessarily have to be this big grandiose thing. There are going to be those people, right, that do have that big effect. But I think we can get caught up in that, especially in this social media world, that we're supposed to have this really, really, really big impact as far as the number of people we hit or the number of people we meet. But the impact is still the same, whether it's one person or a million people, the impact is just as big. So just kind of remembering that it's not necessarily something that has to be grandiose and big. And the last thing I'll say about Dharma in this sense is that it can kind of be scary. We could potentially have been raised in households where there were certain things expected of us, certain education that we were supposed to get. And so when we go against the grain or realize that maybe our dharma is not being a medical doctor, but it's to be an artist and share beauty with the world, that can sometimes create a rub with the people who love us the most. So sometimes stepping into your dharma, even though once you do it, I believe that it can be easeful and everyone benefits when you're living your dharma, but making that step can be scary at times, just depending on the support system around you. So how can Dharma or clarifying your Dharma help you in your business? I think the biggest thing is that it can create just a really clear compass on what decisions are going to be most aligned for you. So there are so many ways to operate a business, as many ways to operate a business as there are people in the world, right? We can all be uniquely different, and Ayurveda recognizes and honors that. And a lot of times we get caught up in what others are doing and we look and say, oh, this is working for them, I'm in to do that. And not that it's a bad idea, but if it doesn't align with your own personal dharma, then it's not for you. So once you can clarify that, everything that comes into your field as far as business and even personal life opportunities, you can test it against what your dharma is. And if it aligns with that, then you can go ahead with it. If it doesn't, it may not even be a no. It may just be a not right now. So I think it just really gives us such a solid guidepost in what to say yes and no to, because we can get so caught up in, and I'm guilty of it, obviously, like going on to the next training and the next training. I feel like I'm evolving my dharma. I know I am actually, but at times we can get caught in that loop of education and not actually putting it out there. And so now moving forward, anytime I enter into a container of education, I do ask myself if it aligns with my dharma, if it's going to serve the people that I want to serve before I enter into that. I think clarifying your dharma and living in your dharma gives you confidence that no one can teach you. No mindset workshop's going to teach you. It's just an innate confidence because it's you. It's you at your truest, most beautiful, purest self. And it just erases any limiting beliefs you might have, or imposter syndrome or negative mindset. Those just kind of naturally go away when you are really clear on your dharma. I also love to think about building. A lot of times when we think about building a business, we instantly, it starts going to money pretty quickly, and pricing and how much is it going to take and all of that. But I believe if we start thinking more about building business for purpose rather than for profit, the abundance will come naturally. So if we can follow our passion and follow our purpose and then create a container and an offering around that instead of vice versa, I think that that shift can be really, really powerful in business. And it's a mindset shift, because usually when you start a business, it's all down to the numbers right away. But once again, the energetics behind it and creating a business for purpose, I think in the long run will serve you and will serve everyone that you serve better. And then most importantly, when you're living your Dharma and you're serving people from a place of a clarified Dharma, you're giving other people permission to do it too. And that's the juice, right? Like if we were all given permission to live our Dharma, like I said in the beginning, I really think we'd have world peace. Like if everyone was recognized for their beautiful, unique gifts and able to express those, I mean, everyone would it's just gives me goosebumps thinking about it. And I think we're there, we're getting there. We're getting there where we're honoring the individual a little bit more rather than the collective, and really the individual in the collective, and how an individual gifts can serve the whole when they are living in their Dharma. So I'd love to offer you some guidance in clarifying your Dharma. So once again, only you can discover your Dharma, or rediscover it or find it. It's really an inner knowing and a remembering, and it's an embodiment practice for sure, because we can talk ourselves in our head in and out of anything, right? Like this constantly goes. Trust me, after I agreed to do this, I talked myself out of doing this many more times than I talked myself into doing it. You know, this can always talk us in or out of something, but I knew in my body that I should do this talk, that this is information that needs to get out there. And so that's what I had to trust. And I feel the next few points that I'm going to offer you helps you create embodiment. And they may be things that you are incorporating. I'm sure some of them are, but they're always a really, really beautiful reminder. So these are some practices that help foster intuition and kind of open our ears to the inner guidance, that inner wisdom that's so ancient and beautiful and honest and true. So the first one, and these can be daily practices or weekly practices, but the first one is a stillness practice. So having time, preferably daily, where you are either meditating or doing breath work or even yin or yoga nidra, where you are really focusing on quieting the mind. Like I said, our mind is constantly going and we can convince ourselves one way or the other, but really getting into the body and feeling what that feels like to be still. My second recommendation is a movement practice. So it's opposite of stillness, right? Opposite action creates balance. So we need to move our bodies. We need, whether that's through yoga or walking in nature, swimming or dancing or tennis or whatever resonates with you. Moving the body, for me personally, it's where I get some of my best ideas. Some of my biggest downloads or pings is when I'm actually in movement. Everyone will be different. Some people might get most of their things when they're in stillness. For me, it's movement. So even putting together this presentation, I've hiked all over this island putting it together, because that's when the ideas really, really flow, is when I'm physically flowing. The next practice is a creative practice. So doing something in your life just for the joy of creativity. So this could be anything: making jewelry, making candles, drawing, painting. The one thing this one's difficult for me, and I'll share why, and maybe you can relate, is when I love to do DIY Christmas gifts. Like I love to make my Christmas gifts. So I usually go on Pinterest and get inspiration from that. So I find whatever I'm going to make that Christmas. I think this year is macrame Christmas ornaments. And I start getting the supplies together. But shortly after that, I instantly start thinking business. And like, I wonder if I could sell these. I wonder if I could make money off this jewelry. I wonder if I could actually sell these candles I'm making. And maybe I could have an Etsy shop, or maybe I could set up at the farmer's market. And I instantly go into my entrepreneurial mind instead of just the joy of being creative and creating something. And so I challenge myself, and I challenge all of you to have a practice of creativity that's just for the joy of doing it. Not, there's no other side to it that you may, and maybe potentially you could sell it, but at the beginning, just creativity. I think when we are creative with our hands and with our minds and with our bodies, it can also foster creative thoughts of like, oh, I never thought about doing my business this way, or a creative offering that might come through. And that's a practice I feel like sometimes gets pushed to the side because we're too busy. So I would encourage you to create and be creative just for the joy of being creative. And then my last suggestion is to play. And that is something as adults, we just are way too busy to play, but we need to. It's so, so important that we play just for the sake of playing and to just bring joy. And now some of these could cross over because maybe you love to play pickleball, like that would be play and movement. It could be board games, it could be card games, it could just be playing with a child or a niece or nephew. I think when we play, we're very present when we play because we're very focused on what we're doing. And so I think having some playfulness in your life can be really beneficial to listening to that inner voice that can come through, which can help you then kind of clarify your Dharma. And these are all embodiment practices. And like I said earlier, I feel like embodied wisdom is really what creates abundance. So when we live in an age of information and answers, if I have a question, I can find that answer in about 30 seconds on Google, right? So I think we are in an age where we are looking for so much information outside of ourselves, and it's so easily accessed, especially in business, that these embodiment practices of stillness, of movement, of creativity, and of play help us get into the body where the wisdom really is. And that can help guide you in the direction of your Dharma. One more thing I'll say on play is my husband and I love to go to Disney. It's something for a long time I didn't really share. I was kind of embarrassed about it for some reason, but we love to go. We have annual passes. And I realized that's our playtime when we're there. Like we're hardly on our phones, like we're having a good time. Everyone there's having fun. And I will say my husband and I have started 2 businesses, and the ideas were both birthed at Disney. They were times when we were just in this playful and we're like, oh, I wonder if we did this, I wonder what would happen. And they actually became business ideas. So it's just an example of how sometimes you just got to get out of your head. You got to get into the body, and these things that maybe were already there, they have the space to kind of flow up and to actually sprout and bloom. So if you are someone who is really firm in your Dharma and you're really clear on what your Dharma is, it's such a beautiful place to be, and I honor that. But I still think these embodiment practices can be so helpful because, as I said, the expression of our Dharma can evolve. And in some suggestions or some things to look for on maybe when it's time that something needs to evolve, if you really feel like you are in your Dharma and you are doing the Dharma, we'll say, but all of a sudden you're feeling uninspired, or you're feeling burnt out, or you're dreading doing something, those are signs that something needs to change. And it's not your Dharma. Your Dharma is staying the same if you have clarity on that. It's maybe just the expression of that Dharma. Maybe you need to let something go that once served you. Maybe you just need to change it up a little bit. I know for me, I loved at one point giving Ayurvedic consultations, but now that's just part of me that I don't get as much joy from it. I want to speak to people in a different place. I love to speak to business professionals now in the Ayurvedic and spiritual and wellness realms and help them. So my Dharma is still the same. It's just expressing differently, and that's okay. And I think that this is a really important point because a lot of times we think, oh no, I need to continue doing this. Look how much school and, what I invested in this. Like I just need to keep going. But if it's not serving you, it's not serving anyone else. So those kind of things to look for if you're feeling uninspired, burnt out, or you're dreading something on the regular, like we can feel those feelings sometimes all the time. But if it's something that's pretty regular, it's just time to go back to your embodiment practices of stillness and movement and creativity and play, and just kind of check in. And then the last thing I'd like to offer you, and these are some questions so you can ask yourself and maybe jot them down. They're things that maybe you journal on in the next week or so and just kind of see what comes up. I think these are questions that can actually help kind of clarify your Dharma, or I should say, clarify your current expression of your Dharma. So yes, so the first question is, what excites you? Like I said, the universe guides us to our Dharma through excitement and curiosity. So what's really exciting to you right now? What are you curious about? And it might not even be something that you're currently studying because you don't have time to do it. But if you had all day, one day with no obligations other than to do whatever you want, what would you be reading? What would you be researching? What would you want to be learning? And that can be a really great kind of guidepost in helping you learn the expression of your Dharma in this current time. The next thing to think about is what mediums naturally flow through you. So what's the easiest way for you to express? So for me, I love to speak, and public speaking, that's me. Some people might like writing or blogging more. Some people like to teach. Some people express through artwork. Some people express through cooking. Some people are more analytical and they like to take maybe these more esoteric systems and kind of like break them down and like analyze them and try and get them more just organized in a different way. Maybe you're really good at like producing or curating stuff. Like you're really good at taking all these people and putting them together and like creating something. Maybe you're good at entertaining. So kind of what medium is natural to you and that you really enjoy doing. And then the other question is, what obstacles have you overcome or have you helped people overcome? Because that can really guide you into how it's best to serve. And that's a big part of our Dharma, is sharing it in the realm of service. So, or you can also think about, what questions do people come to you for? Like mine was with my Ayurvedic consultations, I realized people were looking for their Dharma. They didn't have that language, but I realized that's what it was. And so that's what people were coming to me for. So that's then I pursued that. So, but it could be things that you've overcome in the past, whether it's gut health issues or mental health issues or being a single mom, or, there's multiple things, challenges that we've overcome, or maybe, like I said, that thing that people come to you for. And then the other thing I love to think about, and this is a fun thing to think about even in meditation, is what does your ideal day look like? So what is, like, if you could have just the perfect day, like when would you wake up? Would you have, you would do your morning practice? Would you work for 2, 4, 6 hours? Like you can pick whatever you want. What would your afternoons look like? What would your evenings look like? Like if you could really live in your perfect world, what would that day look like? And that's a really fun journal prompt. And that can change too, but it can also guide you. Like I said, I feel like our Dharma should be easeful and should allow for enough space for us to take care of ourselves and to continue checking in with ourselves through embodiment practices. So some examples of like how these questions I asked you, once again, I asked what excites you, what mediums naturally flow through you, what obstacles have you overcome or that you help people overcome, and then what your ideal day is. And I just made up a couple examples. These are just made up examples, not real people. But the first one is a gentleman who loves to teach and he also loves to cook. So those are his mediums that flow through him. He's really newly excited about Ayurvedic cooking. He's just discovered that and is really excited about it. But as a child, he spent times in his life where he was homeless and ate in soup kitchens and different things like that, and never really had nutritious food growing up. So his expression of Dharma now is to go into local soup kitchens and teach not only the people who work there, but the people who eat there how to make simple, nutritious Ayurvedic meals at home. So you can see how those questions kind of come together, and they can help you kind of formulate how you can take that out in the world. Another example is a woman who's retired in her Vata years, and her whole purpose up to this point was raising children and a career. And now the career has been retired. The kids are grown and she's feeling, maybe a little bit lack of purpose, but she always loved art and never had time to do it. So her medium is art. She loves to express art, and the obstacle she's overcoming is finding purpose in her Vata years. And so she's going and teaching art classes to other women and men in their Vata years, and teaching them that the Vata years are such a beautiful time for creativity because you are a little bit more in that space. So not only teaching art, but teaching Ayurveda as well. So those are just some examples of how asking yourself those questions, you can kind of formulate maybe an expression of your Dharma currently. And just remember that that, of course, can always evolve, and it should evolve, because if we're just kind of stagnant, that's not serving ourselves or serving others. So at this point, I'd love to just take a breath with all of you and just invite you to just close your eyes for a moment. And relax your shoulders, relax your jaw. Take a couple of nice deep breaths. What I shared was a lot of information, and I hope that you found it helpful. But at this point, I just want you to keep a hold of what serves you moving forward and just let go of anything that doesn't. There's no need to hold on to anything that doesn't serve us in this moment. Relax the shoulders a little bit more. Begin to think about what is one action that you can take tomorrow to help you clarify your Dharma. So perhaps it's one of the embodiment practices of stillness or movement or creativity or play. Perhaps it's spending some time journaling on the questions that I've given you, or something else. But think of one thing, can be very simple and small, that you're going to do tomorrow that's going to help you clarify your Dharma. And if you are someone who is beautifully embodying your Dharma, then I ask you, what is one thing you can do tomorrow to share your Dharma with the world? So maybe it is a social media post, or maybe it's talking to the person behind you in the grocery store line. Can be a number of things, but what is one thing that you'll do tomorrow to share your Dharma with the world? And I just want to take a moment to honor each of your own beautiful uniqueness. And my hope for you is that you all find your Dharma, that you live your Dharma, and that you share your Dharma with the world. When you feel ready, if your eyes are closed, you can blink them open. Take another breath. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer. Or if you even have just insights or something that, was something that you'll take away, I'd love to hear that as well. So I'll leave a few minutes here at the end if anyone has questions or insights or anything that they would like to share, or anything they need clarification on.
So beautifully done, Katie.
Thank you, Kippy.
Yes, absolutely. What a great topic, and you've put out all those points so wonderfully. Quite a few points kind of resonated with me, so I feel happy that I can, relate to some of the things you were saying. especially when you said about making those Christmas gifts, and then thinking of how the thought that comes how to sell it. Of course, not anymore, but in my younger age, that would be kind of one thing that would come up to my mind. And I did a lot of those kind of small businesses in my college days. I love art and drawing and doing all these things. Yeah, and then sometimes you have to shift from what your life brings right now. I love teaching, I love doing my consultations, I love doing panchakarma, but then right now, without having much help, I have to let go of the panchakarma, which is kind of the backbone of Ayurveda. And I mean, so some of the things, as much as you want to continue, you may have to let go momentarily, and hopefully it can come back. So yeah, very beautifully you've explained all those things. And another important thing I think from this discussion is, we have to, I mean, the Dharma also relates to more of the moral and ethical values. So Ayurveda can be a business. You want to run a business, you want to make a living, all that is definitely a part of the game, but you have to also be, very, what you're giving has to be much more meaningful, and you can be rewarded abundantly through the universe. Like, you don't have to always count on the money that you're making. It can be coming in various different forms. So that's something everybody has to keep in mind, that it's not always the numbers. It can be blessings, it can be just some sudden openings or avenues that you're looking for. It may just come your way if you have not always counted or calculated in numbers about profits and losses. That's very nice. Thank you.
Yes, I love that. And, kind of when I talked about building a business of purpose rather than a business of profit. And I think if we can kind of shift our mindset to that, we can be rewarded, and we are always supported, and so just think, and we're offering, a lot of times in this realm, what we're offering is a little bit more like esoteric and non-tangible, and so it's a different offering than even like massage, like when I do massage, it's like a very specific hands-on, thing. And when I offer even Dharma coaching, it's like, I can't really predict the outcome because you have to find your Dharma, whereas with the massage, I can be like, oh, you will more than likely feel more relaxed and the muscles will feel, really good. And so I think that's another place that people in the spiritual realm or wellness realm kind of get hung up, is because how do you put a price on like your well-being, or how do you put a price on, just your general balance? And that can be just such a sticky point
on your happiness and satisfaction. It's
exactly.
priceless, And
exactly.
Whatever you enjoy doing, even if it is like you're giving a free talk, the happiness that at the end of the talk that you're going to get is just cannot be compensated with any money. So
exactly. And I'm on that high right now.
Absolutely. My husband always teases me, oh, you are the happiest when you are at the end of the weekend. Whenever I teach, it's like, why are you not like this every day? You are so happy at the end of the weekend. You should be really tired because you're teaching like 9 to 7 the whole weekend, but you're the happiest. I said, that's something that gives me so much joy. I'm full of energy and full of happiness. So yeah, I think all of us,
and that's such another beautiful and that's a beautiful guide point to your Dharma as well, is when it fills you up. I know when I have long days at the spa, I love that aspect of my work. I actually have to go home and work out because I have so much energy, even after doing like 6 services, because I just love it so much that I feel like every person just like, I just love it, you know? So I'm like, I have to like go home and like chill out, you know, and like really mindfully do that, because otherwise I'll be like amped up all night long. So that is such another beautiful sign that you are living in, you know, in alignment with your Dharma, is when, like I said, it doesn't feel like work, and it just like fills up your cup, and so much that it just spills over to those around you.
And I love you brought up the theme, you know, so many of I'm sure reflect upon that, and how we were, you know, as kids and teenage years and all to present, how there was probably a theme, and I never thought of it. So thank you. You opened the top of my head.
Good, good. It was such a pleasure to be here and be in your presence, all of you.
Wow. Thank you so, Katie. And I'm glad that you decided to do this.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank
All
you.
changes of, do I want to do this? That was very honest.
Yes, full transparency.
Does anybody else have questions? I wonder if Margit is still awake in Germany.
I think she
name.
signed off.
Oh,
Yeah,
did
she signed off shortly after. She stayed till when I finished, and then when I opened it up for questions, she signed off. That was very sweet of her. She had messaged me today. She wasn't sure if she'd be able to join because it was going to be really late. So I appreciate her presence.
I just wanted to say, I think in my case personally, a lot of these choices and a lot of these seeds got planted. As I mentioned, I began my Ayurvedic practice about 35 years ago. And for the past, gosh, I want to say 28 years, we've been at the location where we're at now, which is a retreat location. So I think in my case, the choices got made, you know, about 30 years ago. Probably actually from the time I began my studies with Dr. Vasant Lad. I had the privilege of being in his first class in 1985.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that kind of so the die was cast, and a lot of these decisions I think were made. But you know, ultimately, as I said, 28 years ago, we took ownership of a 25-acre property, which we've. And when I say we, I'm talking about my wife and I, have made a retreat destination out of it. So anyway.
Wonderful. Well, obviously, I mean, I think it's a good point that you are in your Dharma, you know, if you're still doing and enjoying, you know, what you're doing, and to have that type of longevity. And I'm sure things have shifted over the years. You're probably not doing things exactly the way you did them, you know, when you first
not at all
opened. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Particularly in the last, I mean, actually since the COVID pandemic began, things have changed, things shifted radically. So, but it's essentially still the same work, and it's kind of just kind of naturally evolved. It's like it's like a moving train, you know. You just like kind of stay on board.
And that's what, with when we know our Dharma, we do stay on board that. It's just the, you know, the expression of it can evolve, but the theme stays the same, you know, which is beautiful, because it means that we don't, you know, we don't have to be stagnant, and we can continue to grow, and we can give ourselves permission to grow and to learn and to, you know, navigate through, you know, different opportunities that may come our way.
Thank you so much, Katie. I'm always in awe of your teachings. And my big takeaway was the same as Kippy with the theme. You know, that's such a beautiful way of understanding Dharma, is that the theme is there, but be flexible, allow it to flow, and allow it to change the way that's being expressed. So thank you so much.
Mhm. Thank you very much.
Mhm.
And you are
Wonderful.
you are a speaker. I mean, that is your medium. Very
Mhm.
has been since I've met you.
Yes,
People listen to you.
I do. I do love to do it. So it comes very natural to me. So thank you for noticing that and honoring it. Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much. If any, yeah, you can always, I'm on Instagram at The Align Guide. It's all one word, The Align Guide. I don't currently have a website. It's under construction. So that's a great way. Or you can always email me. It's just my name in reverse. So it's Castellanos. It's Castellanos, Katie at Gmail, and that's Katie. So if you have any questions after this or an insight that you want to share, I'd love to hear it, and you can connect with me in those ways.
I can see this becoming a series. We talked about it, but I can see it becoming a series.
Yeah, I have a couple other things that kind of birthed through this process. So I definitely have at least one more talk.
Yeah, maybe we can, put this video out and market it a little more, and then we should get to more audience. This is really something everybody should hear. So
Wonderful.
And my Dharma is sharing and teaching, and I can't wait to share this with so many people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Have a beautiful evening.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Have a good night.
thank you.
Thank you.